welcome back to the No Ball Podcast. This week we will be talking about the NHL, more specifically the Stanley Cup Playoffs, as that race continues to pick up, analyzing how we think the rest of the first round is going to go, as well as our favorites in both the conferences, and what gives each team a competitive advantage, and what are some things that is holding them back. So we have a special guest with us today. We have Mason Price, doing good. We're happy you came on today. Mason he knows puck, as they say.
A little bit.
He knows puck. So
happy to talk about it.
As always, though, I am Lewis here with my co-host Luke. So we are excited to dive into it today. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So, gentlemen, Stanley Cup Playoffs, arguably the most exciting time of the year, right? There's a different vibe around playoff hockey. It's so competitive, game in and game out. Eastern and Western Conference, who do you guys think are the pinnacle teams? As well as who do you think in those conferences could have a Cinderella story and maybe make a run?
Sure.
Mason, you're our guest, so please.
All right. I mean, I think that where most people's eyes are right now is in a big first-round matchup between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. The Panthers being the defending champs. The Lightning have won 2 cups in the last 5 years. You know, there's been 2 powerhouses in the East, and they match up in the first round. I think either of them could go all the way to the cup, could win the cup. Good goaltending on both sides, Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky. It's just a really fascinating matchup. I think that is where I would like to start.
No, I agree with you there. I mean, obviously, such an exciting matchup, and I hate that we had that in the first round because that's arguably the most exciting game series right now in the Eastern Conference. So it'll be exciting to see how that goes. I like that. Luke, who do you think East and West, or at least we'll start with Eastern team?
I'm not I don't know as much into hockey as you guys do, obviously, but I like the Lightning as well. I think they're a very well-rounded team, very good on the offensive side of the ice, and obviously goaltending, very strong.
Yeah, the Lightning's top 6, the forward line is better than almost anybody's.
I would
They
agree.
can compete at any level with any team in this league.
I would agree.
Oh, whoa.
That's because my laptop locked.
It's all right.
We gotta leave that in. That's hilarious.
That's good.
That'll be
There we
fun.
go.
Anyway, so, all right, I would have to agree. If I was looking at it on paper, it's obviously going to come down to one of the Florida teams. I mean, gosh, I'd say in the last 5-6 years, there's been a Florida team in the playoffs every year. So, obviously, that trend is likely to continue. Both of those teams, powerhouses. They're amazing. They both have an elite level goaltending, and it'll be exciting to see where that goes. Now, as we'll wait for Luke to come back, but as he's fixing, who do you think in the Western Conference, who do you like going to the Cup?
The Avalanche are really talented, man. I mean, it's Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar. It's hard to ignore the just top-end talent that they have. I think that just they always have a chance with the talent on the ice.
Yeah.
There's several teams in the West. I think there's a little bit more parity in the West than there is in the East. I think a team that's very solid is the Kings. I don't think they get enough credit. It's just weird because they're in LA, and you would think that the LA teams would have a big presence, big market, which they're really good. And it's also hard to just not talk about the Oilers when they have 2 of the 3 best players in hockey, at least.
No, for
Not
sure.
top 2.
I mean, they made it all the way last year with that team, and again, you're right. The Kings are not talked about because they lack offensive production. But what they lack in offense, I mean, they probably have a top 5 defense in the NHL.
Sure.
Again, under the radar team, 2nd seed though, and again, I think that they are poised for. Although they don't look like a Cinderella team, I think they could be poised for a bit of a Cinderella run. It's just the fact that they're not being talked about very much. Definitely, probably out of all the teams in the playoffs, they are the most under the radar team across both conferences.
I think they're the most under the radar team that has a chance to go all the way.
Yeah.
I think there's some teams that are probably more under the radar but don't really have that cup potential.
Yeah.
The Kings could go all the way.
Yeah. Luke, favorite team in the West?
Ooh, probably, well, I like the Jets.
They're the best team in the regular season for a reason.
I mean, 1 seed, they're up there. I really don't know hockey, don't know puck like you guys do.
It's all right.
So I'm kind of just here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the 1 seed for a reason, right?
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. I mean, the Jets, I mean, again, that's another team. You'll see a common theme here with these favorites, elite goaltending. Connor Hellebuyck is arguably the best goalie in hockey.
Could win any game for him.
Can win any game. Again, though, there has to be the President's Trophy curse. That's a
Yes.
no team has really you don't win both. It's never happened, and I worry that that's gonna that trend is gonna continue because if history does anything, it tends to repeat itself. So
Yeah, the Jets have been a common team that I've seen people pick to lose early, either first or second round. People like the Blues, I guess. Memories of the Cup team from a while back. But yeah, the Jets on top of the President's Trophy curse, but also no Canadian team has gone all the way in decades.
Yeah.
So I don't know it's not looking great for the Jets.
yeah, no, they're definitely fighting an uphill battle just from the stigmatisms of hockey, right? No Canadian team, President's Trophies. However, they looked incredible. I don't think it's impossible. I think they'll sweep the Blues. I don't think the Blues are a very playoff caliber team. But again, when you start having to get into it, and then so my take in the Western Conference, I also probably have to go. It's between the Avs and the Knights. I love the Avs. They play so fast. They're a very dedicated team. They're quick.
Mm-hmm.
Their speed is, I argue, probably what sets them apart. Is
Sure.
they can get from one end of the ice and shoot pretty much quicker than just about any other team in the playoffs. Although the Knights are just special, man. They're
deep.
They're just, again, you're from line 1 to line 4. Their blue line is loaded. They have decent goaltending. I mean, they are a well-rounded team, top to bottom. They play very systematic hockey, and again, they're gritty. They are physical. So it'll be interesting. I would love to see Avs Knights play in the conference final because I think that would be exciting. But again, also I can't sleep on the Oilers. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, just absolutely incredible players. They went to the Cup last year, so it'll be interesting to see how that continues to progress. So, who are some? We've touched on this a little bit, but I'm interested to kind of dive in. Who are some teams that you think are flying under the radar and poised for a sort of Cinderella run? Obviously, in this and in the NBA, when you have games, when you have best of 7 series, those Cinderella runs aren't as prevalent because the better team tends to just come out on top. They might make the series a little more interesting, but 9 times out of 10, the better team tends to win. But this is sports; anything can happen. So, who are some teams that you think flying under the radar, but could maybe make a run into the conference or Stanley Cup final?
Sure. Yeah, I think one thing that separates hockey from other sports like basketball, where you do play a 7-game series, is goaltending, man. A goalie can get hot and take away a team for an entire series and win something like that. There's a couple teams that stand out to me. I think coming in, people were high on the Senators. They're down 2-0 right now, so it's a little weird, but Brady Tkachuk, everybody knows his brother, everybody knows him. Especially coming out of the Four Nations, Brady was a big name.
Mm-hmm.
Even the casuals started to know who he was. I think people were really excited for the Senators. It's not looking so good now, but they got to go back home. We'll see what happens moving forward. But then, you talked about the Golden Knights. I think they're great. I kind of like the Wild. I think the Wild, they're 1-1 right now. I really like the forward talent they have. And I think they're a fun team. I think it's just fun to watch. So we'll see. Those are just some thoughts I have.
Obviously, a unique storyline there with Marc-Andre Fleury. His last season. Would love to see him go all the way. They have some underrated talent there too, man. I mean, Kaprizov has really. I mean, he's stepped up this season, especially. So it's exciting to see how they will continue to trend. I don't like that. I don't hate that pick at all. I think the Wild they are poised for sure. Luke?
I mean, I probably would say the Wild too as well. I mean, that's one of my favorite teams behind the Canes. Watching them a lot. Try to go to their games when they're in town. Just seeing that, I guess the grittiness that they display on the ice is something that not a lot of other teams have that would help them in the playoffs.
For sure. So moving on, some unique storylines in the playoffs this year. Obviously, we have the Battle of Ontario. We have Stars versus Avs, the Mikko Rantanen Revenge Series. Oilers and Kings. Oilers and Kings have played each other in the first round a lot historically. So there's definitely some unique storylines. And how do you guys think that affects the games? I mean, Leafs Senators. I mean, again, you're talking about Battle of Ontario, the passionate Canadian hockey fans. Although the Leafs and the Senators aren't the rivals in the same sense that the Leafs and the Habs are rivals. However, they play in the same area. Canadian hockey, best of four. How do you think that drives the series? It makes it more exciting to watch. Thoughts on that?
Sure. Part of the reason I love hockey is just the passionate fan bases, man. Like the cities, especially the Canadian cities, even some of the small towns in the United States, like a Raleigh, the market doesn't compete with other cities. Like the fans really buy into these teams and they make it a big part of their culture, their personality. And so something like Leafs Senators is a big deal. I watch a lot of sports and I love storylines, and so I love seeing things play out on the ice like this. Like all the drama between Mikko Rantanen this year coming to a head in the first round. It's really interesting, gives us something to talk about, but also just brings a different level of passion to the ice.
Yeah. And again, Stars Avs, while we're just on that, I mean, again, you're talking about two teams that, I mean, again, the Avs, MVP talent, they're quick, they're fast. However, their goaltending is not on the same level as the Stars, whereas the Stars, they play a slower game. They are a physical team. So you have quick and nimble versus rough and rugged. And again, that will make for an exciting series. Again, it's tied 1-1 right now for a reason. And again, Mikko Rantanen, obviously, a lot of drama with him this season, both with the Avs and with his short stint in Carolina. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues to play out, as well as I'd love to also, I mean, I'd love to see Marty and Jack make a run as well,
Sure.
just as loyalty to them. Again, shifting down a little bit, Kings Oilers, another exciting series.
Can't avoid each other.
They cannot avoid each other, and again, you are talking about a team, such a offense. They're so prolific on offense, the Oilers, and the Kings, who are so prolific on defense. And the Oilers don't have the strongest defense, while the Kings don't have the strongest offense. So it will definitely make for an exciting series of which off-talented side of the puck can step above. Again, LA leads that series right now. However, you cannot count the Oilers out until the end of Game 7. So, lastly, I mean, Knights Wild. Marc-Andre Fleury, his last season, playing against his former team. They did him dirty, I would argue, playing such a and then just traded him away. Interesting to see how that series will unfold. And then lastly, I just want to touch on the Great Eight. Is this the time? Again, Washington leads this series 1-0 right now, but there's still so many games left. Does Ovechkin, after having such an incredible season this year, does he make the run for the Stanley Cup, and B, win or lose the Stanley Cup, would he come back for another year? I mean, you're looking at a guy who's basically 40 years old and still scored 43 goals, and he missed like 12 games this year. 40 goals is the mark for elite goaltending or goal scoring, and the fact that you can do that at that age is incredible. He has no signs of slowing down. He's just as physical as he was day one. So, touching on the Caps, where are they right now? How far do we think they're going to go? And does Ovechkin get that second cup, or do they fall short? And will we see him again next year?
Sure. I mean, I think the thing with Ovechkin is he can continue to play. There's no denying that, like, his talent's still there. He can continue to play for years. I think it sounds like to me that he wants another year. It doesn't sound like he's interested in stopping now. The question about this year, though, I think the Capitals obviously finished first in the Metro. They're good. They've been another common pick for a higher seed to go out early, I think. I think they're at a weird place where they're in between eras. They're in between the end of the last Cup teams era, where Ovechkin's there, you got Tom Wilson still, you got a few of the older guys that are still hanging around from that generation of Capitals hockey, who are going for one more run, and then you got the next generation coming up behind them. And I don't necessarily think they're there yet to win the cup this year, but with Ovechkin, you can never count him out.
Yep.
He's an elite goal scorer, and goals is what win you hockey games. So, I mean, obviously, we're a little bit biased here. We hope that a second round matchup between the Hurricanes and the Capitals goes in our favor, but all things considered, Ovechkin will probably be the best player on the ice. So
For sure. Luke, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if the Capitals make a deep run and then end up losing, I could see him returning, coming back, trying to win one. I think he's the guy that would want to go out on top. I mean, he just passed Wayne Gretzky's record this season just a couple weeks ago, but I feel like he wants to hang up the cleats with a trophy.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a good point. I mean, obviously he's talking about wanting to come back, but I mean, you break the all-time record and win the Stanley Cup. I mean, there is no greater definition of going out on your own terms.
Sure.
I mean, again, if they do win the Stanley Cup, I would not be surprised if he decided, yes, he could continue playing, but this would be the opportunity to go out on top.
sure.
So,
Yeah, and then it would take away the argument for people saying, oh, he played so bad his last few years, which I don't see that happening, but if
Yeah.
he hung up the cleats or the skates before, then people wouldn't have that argument.
yeah.
Guys like him play hockey for a really long time, and so even if he stops playing here, he'll probably go home to Russia and play in Russia somewhere.
Yeah.
So
No, for sure.
Yeah.
This will be until he dies, he'll be on the ice somewhere, I'm sure.
yeah,
So, all right. So, moving on to the main. Obviously, every team is in the playoffs for a reason. So, what do you guys think are some reasons that teams in the playoffs this year? What are some things that are holding them back from maybe making that run, especially those lower seed teams? But as well as what are the things that these teams have that can set them apart and drive them? So we'll start in the West. What do you like about the Jets and Blues, and what do you not like about the Jets and Blues?
the biggest thing for the Jets is always going to be Connor Hellebuck. I mean, he's like you said, the best goalie in hockey. If not, he's top 3.
Yeah.
They won the President's Trophy for a reason. They're a very talented team. There's a lot there for them. I worry about their long-term ability to score enough goals to compete with some of the better offenses in this league as they get later in the playoffs. I don't really think they'll struggle with the Blues, but then on the side of the Blues, the pro for them would be that they've got experience. Some of those guys a lot of those guys have been there before from that team with the Blues or other teams. They've all been around. They've all won big games, big hockey games before. So I like the Blues in that way, but
Yep.
they're a little bit outmatched in this series.
I agree. Again, I would agree. The Blues, they're a very physical team. However, I just don't think, especially, even if they do pull off, I just don't think they have the roster to compete with any other team in the playoffs. They probably are the weakest team in the playoffs. I think the Jets, they have the ability, if they get on that streak, they can definitely take it for sure. Stars, Avs, what do we think, Luke? What do you like about the Stars and Avs, and what are some things you're not super high on?
Yeah, I mean, the Stars definitely have a very deep roster. They have great players at every level. I mean, Oettinger is just as a goalie, he will get worn down. So you got to watch those later games. Keep the defense tight. Don't let the puck get in front of the net. I mean, Jared McKinnon is just that good. He's a great player. And their team's depth is a lot thinner than it was the last couple of years. A few years ago, I think it was 21 or 20 when they won the cup. So that is probably their biggest weakness for the Avs.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, again, you're looking at the Stars, they're a super loaded team. However, the Stars' age cannot be ignored. Ottinger's such an incredible player on that team. But again, I love the Avs. The Avs are so quick. They're so talented. They're a touch younger. They have MVP players on that team. So again, I like the Avs a lot. Ignoring the depth, I still think that they are poised for a cup year. So Knights and Wild, thoughts on what do we think? I think the Knights. I mean, again, just won a Stanley Cup. They're incredible. Just a while ago. So it'll be interesting to see how that trend continues into the playoffs. Again, they're the number 1 seed. So it'll be exciting to watch them. Again, I love, something special about the Knights in the playoffs ever since they were founded. They know how to win in the postseason, regardless of who's on their team. They can win in the postseason. They are, again, battle tested. The Wild, like we said, for a 4 seed, they're an exciting 4 seed team. They're super strong. Again, Kaprizov, like we mentioned earlier, really has stepped up this season. Exciting storyline there, the goalie. However, does that trend continue? Does their depth hurt them in the long run? That's what's going to hold them back. Is just their depth is not where it needs to be.
Yeah, the Knights in every way are more talented than the Wild, but if the Wild can outskate them, be a more physical team, be better on the blue line, and just they can make it a series. And if it's a series, then anybody can win one hockey game. So I think it leans in the favor of the Knights a lot, but don't be surprised if the Wild make a push.
I agree. Again, we'll just touch on this one more time. Kings and Oilers, it's like we said, Kings, strong defense, weak offense. Oilers, strong offense, weak defense. The other thing about the Oilers is, again, their offense is not deep. After you get through that first 2 lines,
They're so thin.
those guys are probably, they wouldn't be on any other team. Those guys are minor leaguers for sure. They're very thin. Goaltending is decent for the Oilers. Kings probably a little weaker. However, again, I think that's an exciting series both ways. One team's weakness is the other team's strengths at just about every level of the ice. So moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals, or the Eastern Conference, starting back up with the battle in Ontario. Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews, arguably probably one of the greatest players of this decade for hockey. He's such an exciting player. This year especially, they have just looked incredible. However, you can't ignore the past. Every year, the Leafs go in and they are a top 3 favorite, and they lose in the first or second round.
Yep.
What is different about this year versus other years? Because I don't see a difference. It's just they just cannot win in the playoffs.
I think the X factor is Mitch Marner. I think a lot of times he's been one of the guys that gets a lot of the blame put on him when they do choke in the first rounds, not being a playoff performer. And 2 games in, he's played pretty well. And also, this could be the end of his Leafs tenure. So I think there's a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to play a little bit more aggressive, a little bit aggressive with the puck on his stick, and just I think that is the X factor for the Leafs this playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
Any thoughts?
When they have the pressure of the playoffs, the Stanley Cup hanging over them, the defense starts to get shaky. I mean, that obviously is never good to start having holes in your defense in the postseason. That is not when you want to start having those issues.
Yeah, for sure. And the Senators, again, I think they're a young, exciting team. Tkachuk, like you said, obviously made a name for himself in the 4 nations. However, this is a team that has not seen a lot of playoff spots in the last 10 years. So I think you're going to look at young team, not a lot of playoff experience. There's a different pressure that surrounds a team when they're in the playoffs, and a lot of that's what separates the boys from the men. And it'll be interesting to see how the Senators can compete and maintain that pressure, especially in the later rounds if they advance, because that pressure only gets stronger and stronger. Some pressure can make diamonds, but pressure can also destroy. So it'll be interesting to see, can the Senators become diamonds, or will they just break?
Yeah, I'm excited to see Ottawa get back to their home ice. Down 2-0. It's not a spot you want to be, but take care of business at home. Give yourself a chance. And I think, like you said, they're really young. And I think back to the first Carolina Hurricanes team to make it back to the playoffs. Really young, outmatched against an experienced Capitals team. They gave them a fight. They won every game on home ice. They got to Game 7 and won on the road. So, I mean, just be that young, physical, exciting team and see where it takes you.
And again, I think you look at with the Senators, obviously, they are young. And even though they might fall short this year, I mean, you got to look at future trajectory. They made the playoffs and they're young. They had a great year and they have money. They can continue to grow, and you'll see maybe in the next couple years they will continue to get better and be more poised. They get this experience early, so then those players can develop that sense earlier. Moving on to the battle of the Floridian teams, the Lightning. Biggest thing that the Lightning has that no other team has. Playoff Vasilevsky, the best playoff goalie in the league. There is no, there's second to none on that. When it comes to pressure, there is no greater diamond. He is a different beast in the playoffs. Every team hates playing him in the playoffs. Again, they have incredible talent on the offense as well. They have some good defensive players. The thing that's going to kill them, if there was a weakness, is they are getting old. They are an old team. How will that affect how will that come into play? I think is a major question, as well as they're not as strong as the Panthers if you look at top down bottom lines. The Panthers probably have more depth. Speaking of the Panthers, again, Panthers just won the Stanley Cup. They are one of the most exciting teams in hockey. They are so loaded, so many big names in Florida. Also have a great goalie. However, the thing that might kill them is they do love to find themselves in the penalty box. They're a little reckless, and Lightning has such an exciting power play. They have a top 5 power play every year for a reason. They have cracked the code on how to perform in the power play. So Florida will. The Panthers would have to. If the Panthers ever go shorthanded, I'd be afraid of Tampa way more than ever when you go shorthanded.
Sure.
So, thoughts?
Yeah, both of these teams have hoarded talent. There's so much talent on both rosters. Like I said at the top, this series is so fascinating because I think they're probably the two favorites in the East. Close to home, fans can travel. It's going to be a lot of energy both ways, and I'm just really excited for this series. I think it's going to go 7. I think we're going to be in for a really, really special series.
Sure. Moving on, Caps and the Canadians. We've touched on this a lot already, so we won't spend too much time on it. But again, we'll just cover it real quick. Obviously, Capitals. Alexander Ovechkin, great year. However, there is a lot of talks in the media of he had a good year and the team did good this year. But is the depth of that team, like you said, they're in between eras. Half the team has seen playoff, half the team really hasn't. So,
and that half that has is old.
Yeah. So again, the young core of that team has not seen a lot of playoff. They don't have experience or success. So again, I think that if you are looking at over the course of the whole playoffs, not just this series, I think that that's going to bite them. I do not think that they are poised for a deep run, just because of the inexperience. Although I do think that they do beat the Canadians. Canadians are just not the strongest team. They have some bright spots, and they are a little on the younger side. However, they win games 2-1, 1-0. They're not the best. But again, I think that they're a team similar to the Senators, where they have that young core. They just need to continue to build, and in the future, we'll see them back.
Sure. One of those things that separates the Canadians from the Senators, though, is they were in a Cup final a few years ago. They went on a crazy run. A lot of those pieces are back. They have all been there, and I think we've only seen one game between Caps and Canadians. They took them to overtime. I think that this series will be closer than people expect.
Yeah.
I do think the Caps are just too good for them, but.
Yeah. And again, I would love to see a close. I love Game 7 series. They're exciting to see. Luke, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with what Mason said. The 7-game series would be awesome to watch, but I do agree that the depth is a concern with the Canadians. If they get hot at the right time, we might see something crazy happen, but I still see the Capitals taking this one.
Lastly, Hurricanes and Devils. Hurricanes, such a unique team. I'm trying to be factual more than opinionated here. But they are in an interesting spot. because the Hurricanes can skate and play and beat any team, but they can lose to any team as well. They're a bit of a roller coaster. What most of these teams have, we don't have. We are missing, I would argue, a true superstar. We have great players. We have all-star players, but we don't have like we need a guy, call on his number, elite player like that. We are a systematic team, and so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Again, I think especially down the stretch this season, goaltending has been a huge question for us. It's very streaky, especially with Piotr's performance this last stretch of the season. He hasn't looked good, and I worry that that's going to hurt them in the long run.
Sure.
The Hurricanes are no stranger to the Stanley Cup playoffs. We've been the last 7 seasons, so we know the pressure is there. Again, we're in an interesting spot because our team, we lost some franchise guys over the trade deadline. However, guys have come from other teams that, I mean, we've revived players this season. Taylor Hall, he went on a streak. You can't overlook Stankoven, his revive. I mean, and he's an exciting player for the future. Again, he's only 22 years old, and he's looked incredible for us. 2 scores in the first game against the Devils. So again, I think if we get hot and the goaltending can just stay stable, I think there is a shot that they make a strong run. However, they are one of the streakiest teams in hockey,
Sure.
and once they fall off the rails, that's it for that.
I mean, I think what you'll hear the big name media people talk about with the Hurricanes is they'll talk about how they're this analytical darling. You know, the advanced metrics and the stats really favor the Hurricanes. With traditional metrics of what you see on the ice, you know, there's not a 40-goal scorer, there's not a 30-goal scorer on this team. There's just not that traditional firepower that you see on a team. I compare it in baseball terms kind of to what you see of like franchises like the Tampa Bay Rays or the Cleveland Guardians, where it's a plug-and-play system, it's a plug-and-play franchise where guys leave, you fill in the hole, and they play a role and they play that spot, and they do things the right way. They play fundamental hockey. No guy really is more important than the next guy. You know, it's a next guy up mentality, which makes them a very consistent franchise in this league. But actually, down the stretch, in big games, in the playoffs, when you need a magical performance, where does it come from? Like you said, but in the past, we've seen throughout all sports teams like this go far, win things. I think of the Pistons back in the early 2000s. They won an NBA Finals without a true star. I think that's always been my thought about what this team could be in the hockey world. I'm really excited for these playoffs. Like you said, though, goaltending is the question. Freddie's looked good so far, and I do think Piotr is that ultimate wild card. You never know what you're going to get, but if you have to go to him, he could have a shutout. He could go save 35 shots in a night, or he could give up 6 goals, and you're not going to know what you're going to get. But it is kind of that fun, like, last resort button you get to hit with him in net. So I'm really high on them. I'm really excited to see what we get. But
now, do you think Nikishin will get any play time in the playoffs? Obviously, I mean, major signing here right at the end of the season, coming over from Russia. They say he's legit. Best scoring defenseman in that league. We know Rod likes his scoring defenseman. Does he see time in the playoffs, or does he just spend the rest of the season playing with the Wolves in the minors, and then we just get him next year to replace, you know, a Burns or an Orlov?
sure. I think it kind of depends on the circumstances. I think that they don't want to just throw him into the Wolves right now in a close series.
Yeah.
So say they go and win Game 3 in New Jersey, I think we can see him in Game 4, or if they go up 3-1 coming back to Raleigh, I think we can see him in Game 5, just to get his feet wet a little bit, see if he's ready to actually play in this league at this level, and use him in the next round. I think he could be a game changer. Another thing, though, is that we saw Shane Gostisbehere leave the game last night a little early. So what's going on with him? If they need a defenseman, Orlov's looked a little banged up. So just kind of how is the blue line looking, and see what we need.
Again, but barring that injury, I mean, if we're winning games, we don't want to mess up the system. So does it make sense? Obviously, on paper, this guy's good, but like you don't want to. If you're winning, you're winning.
Sure.
So you don't want to mess up the chemistry. So, barring injuries, I don't see a reason to really play him unless we're starting to lose games, or we're up 3-0 and you just kind of want to see what he's got. But again, at the end of the day, you got to win games, and if you're winning the games with the team you have, why would you change that up? I'm not a coach, so I don't know what goes in the mind of a coach, but on paper, it just wouldn't make sense unless we're down 3-0 or we're up 3-0 just to see what he can do. But
yeah, I mean, I trust Rod with that.
Yeah.
I think Orlov is the guy. It's like, is he really in the place we play right now at an elite level?
Yeah.
Or even a good level?
Yeah.
So just keep an eye on that situation.
Yeah, for sure. Any thoughts on the Canes, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, with this matchup, the Devils are fast. They're a fast team. They like scoring goals, putting numbers up on the board. For the Canes, they have to stay on the rails that you guys mentioned earlier. If the Devils are able to knock them off, that's that match cooked.
Yeah.
Moving to the next one. I mean, we'll see if they can slow down the Devils with their systematic approach.
And I'll be honest with you, a healthy Devils team, I would make an argument that they could probably beat the Hurricanes. However, Hughes is out. Game 1, they had their 5 on the ice and they had 8 players on the bench. Timo has not looked good this year. Obviously, there's some former Hurricanes on the Devils, so there is some storylines there. However, again, injuries have plagued the Devils season since game 1 of the regular season, and I think that's why there's not a ton of competition here because we are healthy. The Devils are unhealthy is an understatement for them. Their main pieces are hurt, and I don't think that they're going to be able to bounce back from that. Again, anything can happen, of course, but again, the injuries have unfortunately, for the Devils, killed them, and that's why I think they are a quick first-round exit.
Sure. This team's got a lot of talent, and they could contend for years. They just got to get healthy. But they've looked shaky is the nicest way to put it.
Yep.
There's a lot of seams of tension on that side of the ice. So we'll see how it plays out the rest of the way.
Also, I do want to point out the Devils goalie seems to be more worried about pushing our players than actually stopping pucks from getting
Slashing his
behind
own
him.
players.
Yeah. The Devils goalie is doing anything but actually trying to win the game.
Brett Pesce
It looks
had more
like.
saves the other day.
It's ridiculous. So I think the team is just in disarray right now on that. So that's we'll wrap the conversation up on the playoffs. There's a couple more things I want to talk about hockey news wise. First things first, I want to talk about the New York Rangers. Coming off of an historic year last year, the fall from grace has been insane. And then to cap things off, they fire their coach. Now this started at the beginning of the season when they traded away Trouba. He went in and he trashed that organization. And then I think we've seen that throughout the entire series. Zibanejad has had some controversy. Shesterkin has had some controversy. And I truly believe that the coach lost the locker room. And that's why he got fired only after his second season, which is the last 2 coaches the Rangers have had now have only made it 2 years. Which I think also begs the question, maybe management and ownership are having some serious problems with this team. But again, you're looking at such a good team last year who they've fallen apart. And again, I think one of the issues is that locker room is just full of hotheads. That team full of selfish players. They argue more than they get along, and I think that killed them this season. The coach obviously lost the locker room, and when that happens, you just have to let the coach go. I think he should land on his feet, probably. However, just didn't turn out for them this year. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't mind seeing the Rangers in turmoil.
Yeah, neither do I.
I'm glad I don't have to look across the ice and see Igor Shesterkin these
That's right.
playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be really sad if they have to blow this up, and all the talent they've had that just didn't get to a cup.
Yeah.
There was, for the last 4 or 5 years, they've been collecting and building talent, and got to the last year where they were so good. And I'm not upset about it, but it would be a real shame for their fans and that organization to not really come away with this era of the New York Rangers with something.
Yeah.
So I understand firing the coach if he's lost the locker room, and you just hope that you get another run at it next year. So.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, firing 2 coaches in 4 years, I would start, as a fan of the Rangers, I would start pointing fingers to management, to ownership, because you can't just keep passing that blame off on the coaches. I mean, we've seen in other sports, coaches need more than 2 years to develop their team, bring their culture in. But like you said, if you lose the locker room, they should be out. But at the same time, some of that blame should be placed on the GM for hiring the wrong coach, or ownership for allowing the GM to continue hiring a coach that's not going to keep the players as a team.
Yeah. So, all good points. It'll be interesting to see kind of how this offseason unfolds with New York. Do they restart? Do they trade major players? What do they do? So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Moving on now, we're going to be wrapping up soon, but of course, being from Charlotte, we have to talk about Charlotte hockey a little bit. The Charlotte Checkers,
Okay.
#1 team in their conference, getting
right.
first round bye in the Calder Cup champion. That'll be exciting to watch and unfold. Obviously, that is the level right below the NHLs they play in the American League. They won the Cup back in 2019. They are looking better in every statistical category than when they won it in 2019. So it'll just be exciting to see maybe a championship of some kind finally coming back to Charlotte.
It's about time.
A city that has not known sports, and even if it is minor leagues, with how bad we are at everything else, we have to take it. And then also, in other news, North Carolina getting another hockey team expansion. I believe it's Greensboro Gargoyles.
I did see that.
The ECHL team, their inaugural season coming up at the start of next season. Obviously, we'll be popping out for that first game. Don't know much about the ECHL, but hey, when it comes to North Carolina sports, we talk about it, right?
Yep.
So, anything else NHL that we haven't talked about, you guys want to bring up? Off-season stuff, things that excite you going into this next season. Obviously, when the next season comes back around, we'll pick up more on it, especially once the playoffs end. We'll talk about off-season and stuff. But really, in terms of the playoffs, is there anything we didn't talk about that you guys want to talk about, you're excited for, you want to see?
I just want to challenge people to watch. I know hockey is not normally something that's in people's mind first when they think about sports. It's one of those things that if you're in a city where it's going on and they're winning and it's big, you maybe buy in a little bit, or it's just something that's going on around you. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people this year. I've had conversations with people say that the NHL playoffs are far more entertaining than the NBA playoffs are, and it's always that competition when they're going side by side at the same time. You can't watch both. So I'm not saying don't watch basketball. I like basketball too, but maybe flip over to a hockey game every now and then and enjoy the atmosphere that it provides. I think hockey's had a little bit of a resurgence in this country thanks to the success that was the Four Nations.
Yeah.
I think hockey is just really popular right now, and so tune in, watch some hockey.
Agreed. Luke, anything? Go Canes.
Go Canes.
I love it. So, that'll be it for us. Mason, we want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come here and talk puck. This has been fun.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out our last couple of podcasts, please be sure to go check them out on the YouTube channel, and also make sure to follow us on Instagram, link in the description below. With that, I'm Lewis here with my co-host Luke. Special thanks to our guest Mason, and this has been episode 3 of the No Ball Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you back again this time next week.